Hello and welcome back to the port. I'm the Gallifrey Major and I'm here with Eggy Harris.
Hello. Today in this video we're going to be looking at the early access Russian destroyers, giving our first opinion, looking through the stats and just basically giving an overview of them before we can have a chance to use them. So I think it's worth mentioning that being early access destroyers, you can really only get these at the moment through the crates that you can get with your Rubles or with your credits. So the larger crates have a drop rate for 22%. The smaller crates have a drop rate of about 9%, and through our own experience, we can confirm the smaller crates to be about that. So I'll pass you back over to the Major to look through the Tier 2.
Yeah, so looking at the Tier 2 Dirtsky, generally stats wise, she seems pretty average. I mean, we've got 102mm guns. I mean, there's nothing exactly here to shout out about, apart from the only thing to really highlight is her very short torpedo range.
Which you're going to hear a lot about
Mm.
through all of these.
Jumping up to the Tier 3, um, Izaz, I, Izaza, I want to say.
The
Um,
Izzy.
we could call it that. It's quite a. I tried to learn how to pronounce these earlier, and it's all kind of dripped away like wet cake, unfortunately, from my mind. But she seems to be almost just a slightly bigger tier two. Generally, her stats appear to be pretty poor in comparison to the others. Again, she's suffering from the short torpedoes, but what more can you say really at this tier? Jumping on up to the tier 4, this is where we got one of our first real step changes, isn't it?
Yeah, so with the Tier 4, which I won't try and pronounce, we
PODVOISKY.
noticed that. That's the one. We noticed that, or the pod, we noticed that the guns go up to 130mm, which is a trend that continues from this upwards to the Tier 7, which is obviously pretty good.
It's a nice change.
Yeah, and they've all got a very similar chance, which is 8% to set fire, so not too bad.
Yeah, and then generally mod wise, they don't really make much of a difference. But at this tier, we're being pretty comparable to like the USA tier 4 destroyer. I think
Yeah.
one thing to note is from the tier 2 all the way up to the tier 6, we're going to suffer from quite slow turret traverse speeds. So that's mostly because they're trying to represent them being hand cranked turrets. Jumping up to the tier 5, the GNEVNY,
The Navy, I'm going to call it.
GNEVNY, GNEVNY, yeah.
We
Um,
apologise.
we do apologise, I'm sorry. She's pretty average for her tier. She reminds me a bit like of the Gremshansky.
Oh, okay.
And
So,
then, oh, go on.
yeah. Oh, no, that's fine. I was just going to say pass on through the stats.
Yeah,
Um,
no, looking at the stats, it seems pretty average. I mean, your turret traverse speed, 30 seconds to turn those turrets 180 degrees.
yeah,
That
that's
is,
going to be quite a while.
mm,
You're going to want to make sure that before you are spotted, you're going to want to train your guns in the direction you're going to be shooting and kind of keep them there, because the actual maneuverability is also quite high. The turning radius is also high, so you're going to really want to make sure you know where you're shooting before you have to
yeah,
avoid getting to avoid getting devastated.
you're going to want to avoid close quarters combat with these because if they're maneuverable with your large turning circle and slow turrets, they're going to be able to outturn your gun speed.
Yeah,
But generally, it seems quite fast. Destroyer, 38
yeah.
knots.
So you mentioned also with these destroyers, they're all going to come with a engine boost and oh sorry, is it engine boost and the
It's like
smoke screen?
American style smoke screens. Like
Yeah,
you haven't got many of them, but they're going to be long lasting. And I don't. It's quite strange. It's not usually my kind of smoke screen though. But
mm.
generally, she seems interesting. But
Yeah,
I much more prefer like twist and turn destroyers rather than these. These seem to be a bit more like you don't want to be getting close, but your
Yeah,
torpedo range.
they're quite fishtaily. Obviously, they've got a reasonably quick rudder shift, so you're going to be wanting to move back and forth, avoiding shots more than sort of turning all the way around and turning your guns all the way around to the next target. You're going to want to be sort of always moving, trying to be a bit fishtaily.
Yeah, I mean, the HP point increase of the hull upgrade, giving you an additional 2,000 HP, seems quite interesting. It's almost like these are like baby cruisers, the way they're like designed.
Yeah.
But the
Yeah.
torpedo mod
Again,
doesn't change much.
yeah. The torpedo range, they seem to be increasing the speed of the torpedoes, but with having only a 4 kilometer range, that's not really that much of an impressive jump. Obviously, it's only travelling 4 kilometers, so it doesn't really matter how quickly it does it so much.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Moving on to the Tier 6, the Minsk. Now, she seems pretty comparable to the US destroyer, like overall stats-wise, like just by the numbers, but having a look over it, I guess we can kind of expect like her to be fast, reasonable HP, same guns, rinse and repeat almost, very slow turning speed.
Yeah, same torpedo range, rinse and repeat.
Mm.
But 43 knots though, that's a very quick ship. Probably only seen with the French maybe for that kind of speed. And if you mix that in with your boosters and the engine boost, you probably get that to mid to high 40s, which is quite impressive.
Yeah, depending on your inspirations, your boosters, maybe some of the other mods that come with it, we might be able to get that up to like the high 40s during an engine boost. But your concealment range is apparently going to be quite poor for this tier.
Yeah, it's quite comparable to the American and German concealments, so being about 7 kilometers.
She's a bit more than that, so apparently she is going to be has the worst. But that means you might end up taking like Sims as a inspiration.
Yeah, probably inspiring with Sims and Eric Bay, so you're getting your HP buff and your concealment down, which is always useful. Again, yeah, the upgrades again are just rinse and repeat, but this time it actually makes them slower for the torpedo upgrade. But the hull upgrade is giving you an extra 1,300 health, which is always good.
Yeah, that seems to be the main mod with these. The rest of the mods, I mean, they're nice little mods, but they're not massive differences. I mean, only a kilometer of range in the guns.
Yeah, you're going to want to prioritize hull upgrades really if you're going to work through these without boosting.
Going to the Tier 7, I guess this is probably the biggest step change we've got with these. Based on the World of Warships PC version of the game, you can swap your smoke screens out for repair parties, which may tie into that the fact here that she's known for having quite high HP.
Yeah. So obviously we're only find that out through using them, but we can kind of guess that they're going to be stronger, sort of beefier destroyers with a lot of HP, like you said. But guns, you've got more guns this time, but they're still 130 millimeters. Still the same chance of setting fire.
Similar damage. Faster too.
Yeah, down to 18 seconds from 30 seconds from the lower tiers, which is an obviously massive upgrade.
Definitely representing them being actually turret mounts, properly electrically moved rather than actually hand crank turrets. But again, the torpedo range base looks pretty poor.
Yeah, but I think from looking earlier on, this might be the only destroyer where the torpedo upgrade actually increases the range to 8 kilometers. There, as you can see, which is one of the massive jumps in this for this tier, which actually might make it usable, might make the torpedoes usable.
Yeah, that's quite nice.
Yeah.
And then jumping to the maneuverability, 42 knots.
Yeah, still pretty quick.
Very quick rudders too.
Yeah, yeah, you can definitely massage that up to mid 40 knots, which is quick.
And then concealment seems it's all right. It's not great, but it's not terrible.
Yeah.
And then jump into the mods. I mean, we covered off the torpedoes, but that hull upgrade with an additional 5,000 HP.
Yeah, that's huge. Up to 21,500. I think maybe that's similar to the Kid. No, that destroyer had high base HP and also had the repair
As
parties.
well.
Yeah, so similar to that.
It seems like these are very like standoff. They could be very standoff or very up close. They're with that large HP, and now you've got decent turrets. It seems like these are quite flexible.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely capable for their tier, hopefully. But only time will tell, I guess, when we use them ourselves and we see other people using them.
Mm.
But
Well,
overall, then through the destroyers, your main concern is going to be more strategic play through the lower tiers, especially. So using your speed to get to and from bases, spotting for your team, and then using your guns to take on other destroyers. But obviously, like we said, making sure that they're trained on where you're going to shoot. But they're not your typical destroyers by the looks of it. Obviously, with the torpedoes being a downfall, some would say, but they're going to be a different dynamic to use.
Definitely going to require a completely different play style. You're not going to be hiding off and just dropping torpedoes, but you're not going to be duking it out and like close quarter knife fights. It's almost like, I mean, maybe the tier 7 you can, but the others, it just seems like you want to be like mid-range, just kind of like piling on the damage where you can with your guns from cover or from range where you might be able to dodge the incoming shots.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you say, only time will tell how these play and how these change the dynamics of the game.
Yeah. Well, I think that kind of wraps up the video. So if you like the content and want to see more, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm Eggy Harris.
I'm the Galloping Major.
And back to the port.